You've heard HMOs make massive cash flow, but do you actually know what it really costs to set one up in 2025? It's not just painting furniture. In this video, I'm breaking down every hidden cost of setting up a HMO in the UK, from purchase to fire doors, from licensing to broadband bills. Stick around, because I'll also give you a full example budget at the end and some essential tips that could save you thousands. Thank you very much for tuning in. My name is Ehsan Ahmed. This video is brought to you in collaboration with Rightroom. Rightroom is a HMO property manager and a specialist guaranteed rent company based in London. So let's firstly start off by looking at the property purchase costs. Okay, so buying the property, obviously that is going to be one of your largest costs, which typically requires 25% deposit for most HMO products. So on a 200k property, that's 50k up front. Obviously, then you'll have to fork out the stamp duty, and higher rates do apply for investors. So if you're buying multiple dwellings, expect even more. But look, you can budget smart for this. Obviously, you've got to take into account legal fees, which are typically up to about £2,000. And then you've got specialist sort of HMO finance brokers that charge up to £1,000, maybe a bit more, but they are worth it to get the right product. Now, this is just to buy the place. So now the real spending begins. Let's talk building work. So structural changes, adding walls, soundproofing and fire doors. These are a must for legal compliance. Kitchens and bathrooms. You might need to add an extra bathroom or upgrade shared facilities to meet HMO standards. Decoration, flooring, painting, making it look clean and modern. Lastly, furniture packages, beds, wardrobes, desks for each room, plus sofas. Maybe you might even want to go as far as doing TVs and a dining area set up for communal areas, etc., etc. Budget range for this, anywhere from 20k to 100k. Depends on, the property's condition and the type of spec that you're going for. And trust me, trying to cut corners here can bite you later. Moving on to the next bit, you've got licensing costs. So HMO licensing isn't optional. Mandatory HMO licenses typically can be anywhere from sort of £500 to £1,500 plus, depending on your council. You may have selective/additional licensing, where councils want even more paperwork, and that could apply to a certain area. And then you also have renewals to bear in mind. Every 3 to 5 years, you will have to pay again to make sure that your license is up to speed. Another thing that you have to bear in mind is fire safety and compliance costs. So fire safety is non-negotiable. We're talking fire doors, which are typically £200 to £400 each. And yes, every single bedroom needs one. Interlinked alarm, so full fire alarm system, expect to pay anywhere from sort of £1,500 to £3,000, depending on the size. Emergency lighting, so in the hallways and every single landing, which may need sort of additional wiring and fittings for, sort of safe escape routes, etc. And recently, which has become a demand, is sort of fire risk assessment. So this is a professional report, which is about £200 to £500. And this is what councils do require in order to grant the license. Then we move on to utility setup and ongoing costs. So in HMOs, landlords usually cover all bills. So that includes council tax, utilities, so that'd be broadband, gas, electric, water. And these bills, depending on the size of the property, could be anywhere from sort of £300 to £700 a month, depending on the house size and tenant usage. Don't forget, these are ongoing costs. They're not one-off. So you've got to be priced in properly in terms of your monthly profit. Let's talk about professional fees and services, because you may need to hire an architect, planning consultant, especially if you're dealing with layout changes or Article 4 restrictions. Building control fees. So you can budget anywhere from a couple of thousand on this. Interior designer, if you really want to sort of get the high-end HMO feel going, that's something that you'd have to factor in. Now let's talk about mortgage and finance fees. So mortgage and finance fees, like I said, depending on the type of mortgage you're going for, these are higher rates than standard buy-to-lets. So lenders do want sort of detailed surveys, and the finance costs on these are much higher than buy-to-let mortgages. As well as this, you will come across hidden and unexpected costs. So whether it's planning permission, whether it's things that you didn't budget for within the actual build process, and then once you're ready to rent the property, you've got the tenant set up, which you'll be referencing, deposit protection, inventories. All of this does add up. So let's end this video with an example setup. So for example, typically if you're buying a property that's valued around the 200K mark, the deposit on the property will be about 50K. Then add into that legals, stamp duty, etc. Refurbishment might cost you on average, say 35K. Furniture, appliances about 8K. Licensing and compliance about 3K. That's a total investment of £100,000. This is a real cost just to get cash flow. So here's a few tips on how you can manage your costs effectively. So always over budget. So 10 to 15% extra as a buffer. Get 3+ quotes for any major work. Check licensing rules before buying. And renovate with HMO regulations in mind. Saves the rework later. This is business. Plan it like one. So now you know what it really costs to set up a HMO in 2025. Yes, it's capital intensive, but get it right, and the long-term cash flow can be game-changing. Thank you very much for your time, guys. Please like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one. Thank you very much.